Hello, 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 hello. Welcome again to Your Words, Your Voice. I am your host, James Hopkins, and my guest today is none other than Miss Do It All, Danielle Holmes. Miss Danielle Holmes, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. First of all, I just want you to introduce yourself to everyone outside of the community work and your organizations. Just tell everyone who Miss Danielle Holmes is.
So again, I'm Danielle Holmes. I reside here in Jackson. I am from Greenwood, Mississippi, born and raised. I attended Tougaloo College. However, I did not get my degree from Tougaloo. And I love my people. I have a daughter, 2 grandbabies, and community is what matters.
That's right. Okay, community. So you do a lot in the community. A lot of people always tell me, man, you be everywhere. You be here, you be there, you be there. But you are actually, I don't know how you do. I don't know if you're cloned or what, but you're actually everywhere that anything's going on. How did you first get involved in community work? What kind of pushed you into doing this type of work?
I never really had a desire to do this work. I have owned a title searching company. Did that for quite some time before the real estate market took a really bad hit. I became acquainted with a lot of kids in the community. Okay. Only had one daughter, but she would always bring home tons of friends.
Right.
And so my house became the house that the friends would hang at. I wouldn't too much let her go out to other folks' homes, but everybody could come over. And so I took an interest in the kids. Some who had mothers who trusted me with their kids, right, and some who didn't have a mother or father figure at home. Right. And moms didn't care where they were on school nights, right? And so it was like that mother instinct kicked in. I was mama, used to have to go to school, up to the school to check on a lot of them. Still, even in that, I really didn't see that that was a place where God had called me to. I was living in my own thing, running my own company, and I was doing pretty well. But my dear friend, Precious Martin, rest in peace.
Precious,
right. We attended Tougaloo together. I would do some work with him, but we did a lot of political campaigns together, and that kind of pushed me over into the community organizing. And I think my very first real community organizing job outside of political campaigns was started off with One Voice, Better Schools, Better Jobs, right, fighting for our state lawmakers to fully fund public education.
Okay, look, it seems like that's just going to be a forever fight. That's interesting. Precious Martin, I worked with Precious, not directly with him, but way back. I don't know if you remember when Isaac Bird had the 930 Blues Cafe. Yes. I used to run the Blues Cafe.
Okay.
And don't y'all be trying to guess my age. We do this every show. Stop trying to guess my age. I'm old. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, but I used to run that, and Precious was one of the guys out there, one of the attorneys that worked for Bird. So, may he rest in peace. And also, my mom, Ethel Foles Sanders, today is her birthday. Well, her heavenly birthday. So, happy heavenly birthday to her. So, we're not going to stick on it. But let's move on to the show. Let's start getting into the real questions. Okay, the first, just tell me about some of the organizations that you either are involved in or have been involved in.
So my main line of work, and I consider all of it priority, right? Mm-hmm. All of it has its perspective. But I am first identified with the Poor People's Campaign, Repairs of the Breach, doing work with the Poor People's Campaign. And that work takes me across this country, organizing in various states. I've probably organized in over 30-some states here across this country, organizing with coordinating committees in different states. And the Poor People's Campaign, for many who may not know, was started by Dr. King right before his assassination. And this work was because of the conditions he saw of how individuals were living in the Mississippi Delta. After visiting homes on Sundays, and folks would go and borrow chinaware to appease him because we had a guest coming.
Right.
But when he left, he did not realize that these folks actually didn't live up to par like they had pretended.
Wow.
They were actually living in poverty.
Wow.
And so he was in Marks, Mississippi, when he realized and said, it's time for a Poor People's Campaign.
Now tell them again who you said started this.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they got that.
Of Dr. King's.
Okay.
And my leader, Reverend Dr. William Barber II, and co-chair Reverend Liz Theo Harris, picked up the work of Dr. King and have been carrying that mantle forward.
Wow. Wow. And it's right here in Mississippi is where he got the idea to start it, right? Because
absolutely.
Wow. And that's a little known Black history fact. And that's something that, we should know about. Like, I know about the Poor People's Campaign as a national association, but I didn't know that the idea, number one, started in Mississippi. And I definitely didn't know that Dr. King was the one who started it.
Absolutely.
So that's a great work. Anytime we can continue something that someone who had such an impact on our people, then it's amazing, and definitely for you to be a part of it, is wonderful. I hear a lot of work that the Poor People's Campaign do. Now, I understand you all have paid bills in the past. You all have buried people in the past. Tell me about some of the work that the Poor People's Campaign does.
So we launched in the Poor People's Campaign launched on February 5th of 2018. We launched our chapter here that very same Monday at the state capitol. And we are not a in-kind service organization.
Right.
We just so happen to find ourselves in those positions and having to assist and answer to calls. But we fight we're anti-poverty. Right. So we fight against poverty, ecological devastation, systemic racism, and we are also fighting to change this nation's moral distortive narrative that poor people are poor just because they're lazy and not because of policy. Right. And we know that it's policy that makes people poor.
Definitely. Okay. That's great. Now, you all, I want to say it was about 3 years, maybe a little longer than 3 years, there was some funding that came down from the federal government to help people pay their water bills. Are you familiar with that?
Absolutely.
And you all made sure that people got that funding that was sent to them.
Well, we tried to make it.
The ones who accepted it.
Who accepted it.
Right.
And also, it was a beautiful program.
Right.
That would have afforded, and the problems that people are seeing now with their water bills.
Right.
Though that could have been alleviated.
Right.
But I also, Councilman Kenneth Stokes had a lot to do with that as well.
Right.
And that was because of an ego problem. This company has this organization who has gone around, has done this same model in Flint, Michigan, where when folks, needed water bills in other parts of the country, think in Louisiana as well, where they've come in and assisted individuals to pay their water bills. Some accepted it, and so they're not in those positions right now. Those who didn't, they're seeing themselves in these positions, and now seeing themselves with their water cut off, because Jackson Water just isn't letting up right now.
Right, and it's funny you say that, because this week I've had 3 people to contact me about their water being cut off, and I contacted you a couple of days ago about one of them, but it's like, I don't know if last week they said, well, we're going to do it all last week or whatever, but it seems like a lot of people got their water cut off last week. And when I was listening to some of these bill amounts, it's kind of astronomical, and I'm like, well, what happened? But it goes back to, like you said, there was funding there but you also had where we had you all saying, hey, in the city, saying, hey, let's accept these funds and do this. There was also a group saying, don't take the money because when it's time to sue the city, you won't be able to sue because you accepted the funding, which was also part of the arbitrary agreement, with accepting the funding. Now, I'm going to tell you, I accepted the funding because my bill was crazy. My bill was right at $6,000. And I know it wasn't $6,000 that I rightfully earned.
Right.
So I don't have now my bill is $80 a month. So I guess it's just a risk. Either you do it or you don't. I wasn't concerned about suing later on. I know I needed my bill paid right then, but
I wasn't aware of an arbitrary agreement. I never.
Yeah, right. I know you all were just responsible for getting it out. But there was an agreement in it that stated that if you accepted the funds, you can't come back later on and sue the city because of water bills or anything like that.
Okay.
But again, like it would be almost like a double jeopardy if you, with putting somebody on trial or something like that. You get them off and then say, okay, well now I'm gonna come back and charge you again. But I didn't have a problem with the agreement because they did what they were supposed to do on their end, which was they took care of that $6,000 for me. That I know I wasn't going to be able to pay a $6,000 water bill, So I wish everybody had done it,
Well, one of the things is that whenever anything good comes into the community, you're going to always have those who are enemy of progress.
Right.
Right, who will try to block it. And I often say to community, whenever you have people who don't have to be out here fighting on behalf of the community, right, and trying to find resources to help you, not hurt you, not to take away from you, but to actually give to you so life can be easier for you, and you listen to a council member or an elected official who does not have to worry about whether they're going to pay, how they're going to pay their light bill or water bill or mortgage, right? These people are okay, but community isn't. And so we see now folks talk bad about us during this process.
Yeah.
Oh, we got low rated.
Yeah.
And some of these same folks now are calling saying, can you help me pay my water bill?
Right.
What can we do? Right?
Right.
And so these are the positions we're in, and they can't go back and ask Councilman Stokes, hey, help us. You told us not to take that money, but what other resources do you have for us? Right. Mr. Hennepin cut it short as well. Right. And so there was it's not just Councilman Stokes, but several parties were involved in stopping residents from getting the assistance that they need.
Right. Wow. And it's crazy because, again, it didn't come out of anybody's pockets but the federal government or whatever organization that was. So, if it's coming down, that means they see a need for it because we know our federal government penny pinchers. So if they send that funding, there's definitely a need for it. And if you have the opportunity, I just advise anybody, take the opportunity, take the funding. Don't worry about suing anyway because the whole deal is about getting your water,
That's right. And you likely ain't going to get your money from the city anyway.
Right. So, that was a big deal. And I remembered it because, again, I benefited from it. And then I found out later that, you all were, some kind of way making sure that everybody was getting whatever they were guaranteed to get. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
And let's move on.
And I just want to give credit. That was the People's Advocacy Institute that actually helped usher in that, along with the city of Jackson. People's Advocacy by Rakia Lumumba, the sister of the former Mayor Lumumba.
Yeah, trying to get Rakia on the show. Rakia's a busy
She's been
young
traveling
lady.
lately.
Yeah, she's super busy.
She'll be back soon at the end of the month.
Okay, all right. So let's tell me about another organization.
Well, we have Mississippi Impact Coalition, which was formerly Mississippi Prison Reform Coalition.
Okay.
Now that coalition was birthed out of the crisis that happened, the riot that happened in Parchman.
Right.
Well, actually happened across several MDOC facilities. But it was very brutal, bloody, bloodshed. And there was a need for community to respond because our government wasn't responding.
Right.
And so we had to step in. We had to advocate and rally, protest, right, for conditions, because the conditions within the prison were inhumane.
Right.
But the heroes of that work were those on the inside, who exposed to this country their conditions.
Right.
And it took a lot of courage and bravery for these individuals to do so. But it woke up this country as it relates to the conditions of MDOC.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember that also. Is that the only other organization?
So out of that,
Okay.
we have since, that work is led by those on the inside and those on the outside as well.
All right.
Recently, Mississippi Prison Reform Coalition expanded its scope of work, and now they're Mississippi Impact Coalition.
Okay.
And so they deal with justice-impacted individuals, reentry, dealing with community and poverty in communities, and how do we make that impact, right? And our goal is not to do traditional work, but to do things outside of the box that works not just for my agenda, but actually works for the community.
Right. Okay. You know what I would love to see is, I would love to see businesses, and it's probably something that we would have to start ourselves in order to be able to truly make it happen. But I wish there were businesses, even if it's skilled labor or what have you, that will commit to hiring people once they come out, because the biggest problem we have, and we call people, we say they're institutionalized and keep going back and forth. The biggest problem they have once they're out is that they don't really have that support system that would allow them to find a decent job as a convicted felon. And I wish we had business. We have all these Amazons and Nissans, and of course you want to hire everybody that you can hire, but I wish there was some sector of all of these billion-dollar corporations that would focus solely on hiring felons. And I know you all do a lot with legal work and things of that nature, but we need to try to come up with something that we can present.
Well, James, actually, Mississippi Impact Coalition, we do that, right? Okay. Folks that actually connect with us and get into our program, we find them housing, we find them employment. Actually, Metro booming right now will take justice impacted. You say felons, I say justice impacted. But people with felons on their records. Right. And he'll actually give them trade schools for free. This is Richard Bradley, owner of MBAR in Metro Booming. Right. And so there's a lot going on in this city. Okay. But it's just not being talked about. It's not being talked about. A lot of the work that I do, along with People's Advocacy Institute, One Voice. Right. You have other organizations that are doing great work. Right. I don't think we talk enough about our work because we're too consumed with the work. With the work, right. Right. And so when you talk about even the support that we give to folks who have been incarcerated or now incarcerated, we give support to incarcerated families. Right. Right. Individuals. Yeah, their families, whoever, the incarcerated individuals' family. So we've supported families. Okay. We've supported individuals who have lost their loved ones to gun violence. Right. Not necessarily gun violence, but if you've lost your loved one and couldn't afford to bury them, we've on occasion stepped in. Right. We don't have unlimited resources, but we make sure that our resources get back to the community. Right. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Again, like you said, it's definitely not talked about enough because, with the work that I do with Reset, I'm always coming across people and they ask me stuff like that. And then maybe I'm just not doing my research, to be able to answer people. But now that I know, I'll definitely be contacting you if I come across that situation again. Absolutely. So I'm glad you came on the show, but that's what it's all about. Getting people on here, getting you all informed about the things that you're not informed about. And that's why we have your words, your voice. If you ever want to come on, if you have something to talk about that's truly going to help the community and not just, just trying to get likes, definitely give me a call. We're going to make it happen because it's about us
building up us. We can't expect anybody else to clean up our house. We have to do it ourselves. So, next question for you.
Okay.
This weekend, it's homecoming weekend, and then Tougaloo also had their alumni in town, and there were like so many extra people in this city. And just like any place, when you get too many people in one spot, somebody's gonna get upset. The car burning, the shooting near the tailgating and all of that. Just give me your opinion as someone who is really out trying to rebuild our city and rebuild our community. And with Poor People's Campaign, obviously rebuild this country. Just give me your opinion on, just what you thought about this weekend.
Well, before I talk about this weekend, I want to just shout out Jackson for the years that we've been accident-free during homecoming.
During homecoming, that's right.
With no shootings to take place or no chaos such as what happened this past weekend.
Right.
So I think this Saturday, from my understanding, because I wasn't there, was that there was an altercation fighting that took place, and an individual's gun may have dropped out of his pocket and it went discharged.
Right.
Not by accident. And so the young man that was shot, I don't believe it was intentional. However, that has not been confirmed by law enforcement.
It wasn't intentional. I do know someone that knows his mother, and they spoke to me about it. So it wasn't intentional. The young man that was shot, they didn't shoot him intentionally. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah,
because
it wasn't a shootout or anything like that. But I was at the tailgate. Let me tell you the problem I had with the tailgate. I had a great time there. The problem I had with it is that the rules going into the stadium don't apply going into the tailgate area. If you have to have a clear bag to get into the stadium, you should have to have a clear bag to get into the tailgate. Because I know from where I parked and walked into the tailgate area, I passed at least 6 book bags. 2 of them I said something to. They were young people, and of course I just want to make sure that they're there to have fun. And I just didn't think it was a good idea to have book bags and you can go, but you can't take those bags into the game. So I think next year, and I definitely hope they don't, cancel or anything like that, or just have so much security to where it's just not fun. But I think next year, and I'm going to try to reach out to administration or whoever I need to, or if somebody out there is listening, or even you know who to talk to about it. Let's keep it going, but next year they should have to have clear bags in order to get into the tailgate.
So what I'm confused about is you just said that you talked to the mother of the child, and she told you that it was accidental.
It was accidental.
Why did our law enforcement chief not clarify that this wasn't a shootout at the stadium?
That I cannot tell you, but a lot of times I think they try to keep certain information under wraps until they can.
Well, but because the narrative that has been, Jackson doesn't need another bad story.
Right, you're right.
You understand what I'm saying?
You're right.
So anytime there's an opportunity to get the truth out there,
we need
and
to
put clear things up, let's put it out there.
Let's put it out there.
Because right now it appears that Jackson had a mass shooting like Leland.
Right, no.
And as heinous of a crime that happened in Leland, how did all of the attention come back on
Jackson,
car fires, and this one baby, and God bless the baby's soul. Thank God he's protected. Protected him, but how did it come back to an accidental shooting and car fires? Yeah, we saw folks fighting at the clubs. Yeah, they fight every weekend. Every time the club doors open,
there's a fight.
But we have to ask, why is this narrative lingering? That Jackson was just as worse as Leland this weekend. That's a problem.
Yeah, we weren't nearly as worse as Leland. Of course, as a city, we're probably 3 times bigger than Leland or whatever.
That's right.
But there was a lot more death in Leland, and God, rest their soul.
Yeah.
But definitely a lot of attention was put on it, and I think because one of the reasons, because like you stated in the beginning of the conversation with this, Jackson has never had an incident like that during homecoming.
That's right.
So you think about how many years they've been doing homecoming and tailgating, and then the fact of how young this young man was.
Absolutely.
So I think stuff like that is magnified and glorified, through the media, but it's just, that's just that stigma. Hey, that's Jackson. That's what goes on. That's what goes on. So I'm just assuming that's why. But I definitely agree with you. If they didn't purposely shoot this young man, it definitely should be put out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good question. And speaking of Leland, what's your opinion on the Leland incident?
So what I've told individuals, and I say this all the time, we have allowed people to push a narrative about the city of Jackson.
Right.
And so Jackson has been their punching bag.
Right.
Whenever they want to get their racist narrative off,
right,
they're going to put it on Jackson.
Right.
But for me, because I work across the state, I'm from the Mississippi Delta.
Right.
And Greenwood, to be exact.
Right.
Where some of the most heinous gun violence, brutal, like gruesome cases of gun violence taking place. They're happening right there in the Mississippi Delta that you never hear about. Greenwood, Mississippi is off the chain. Greenville, Mississippi is off the chain.
Macomb, Mississippi.
But we're going to talk about the Clarksdale.
Right.
It is
Vicksburg.
bad in the Mississippi Delta.
Right.
And it has been bad. And I've told mothers who have lost loved ones, family members, but especially children, do not sit in in this Delta or in your small town on your story while they capitalize on what's happening in Jackson. And it's a bloodshed running in the streets of Greenwood, Mississippi, Greenville, Clarksdale, and now we see Leland. This has been going on.
Right.
And what they continue to do is use Jackson as a mask to cover up what's happening across this other parts of the state.
Right.
Until the point where you can no longer cover up what's happening. Right. Because the beef that's been going on in Leland has been going on.
For a while.
The beef that has been going on in Rolling Fork has been going on. And as I said back in February, I believe, during our victims of gun violence rallies at the state capitol, I said today is Jackson, but tomorrow is Rolling Fork.
Right.
Tomorrow is Greenwood.
Right.
Tomorrow is Woodville, Mississippi.
Right.
Because we had individuals to come from all the way down from South Mississippi to tell their stories about their losing their loved ones. Even Natchez. It has been off the chain in Natchez, Mississippi. Gun violence is bad across the state. In 2023, Mississippi ranked number 1 in gun deaths in this nation. That's a problem.
Right.
And it ain't all Jackson.
Right.
So where are the other numbers? We don't hear about how bad it is in Hattiesburg, but Hattiesburg is off the chain.
Yeah.
The Gulf Coast is off the chain.
Well, they didn't say a lot about Mississippi being number 1 in the nation, but the years
I got the facts.
But the years that Jackson was number 1, we definitely got a lot of reports.
I got
that
the facts,
Jackson
and CDC actually did a report, and actually I come with facts, resources. I don't just be talking off the top of my head. I do my research because it's important. I don't ever want to be out here loud and wrong.
Right. Well, we're gonna let you read that, but let me give the people, if you want to call in and comment or ask Ms. Holmes or myself any questions, that phone number is 601-387-2684. Again, that's 601-387-2684. And she's going to read a little bit from this article about Mississippi being number 1 in gun violence. The state, now we're not even talking about Jackson like we always hear about Jackson being number 1. Let's talk about the state. Let's give Mississippi its flowers right now.
And so we want to just go back to 2013. I went back to 2013, and actually the report took me back to 20 injunction. A lawsuit was filed.
Right.
And an injunction was issued to block that bill. chief law enforcement and sheriffs from across the state came and pleaded with lawmakers at the state capitol. And they warned lawmakers that passing open carry will wreak havoc on our communities. Now, the law didn't say take away your Second Amendment right. You had your Second Amendment right before we were even beginning to talk about
that's just a
open
talking
carry.
point. We know
yeah,
that's
they
a
keep
talking
using
point.
that, but I want to clarify that because I'm here and I've been taking a lot of heat. Open carry does not equal, or your Second Amendment right does not equal to open carry. Second Amendment, your Second Amendment right gives you the right to bear arms. Right. But it also gives you a right in a responsible way, saying that you have to be permitted to carry a firearm. Right. Meaning, if you're legal, why do you oppose being permitted to carry a firearm? Right.
Exactly.
And that process was going very well. Folks may have had to get guns in their boyfriends' names or whatever, but that gun was registered to someone. Right. When they did open carry, House Bill 2 was only to clarify, do we have the right to bear arms without permit? Meaning nobody has to get a permit. Any and everybody can tote a gun. Whether you're stable, unstable. We don't know. Mississippi has defunded its mental health programs. And so how do you know if individuals are stable to carry guns?
And then
they can't even get mental health services. And law enforcement can't even, and Constable Jerry Moore was quoted in the paper. He said this law will be problematic. This was in 2013 because it will take away my ability as law enforcement to ask an individual, why are you carrying that gun? Or even, are you legally carrying that gun? Because once you ask that question, you have violated that individual's constitutional rights.
Exactly.
And so you've taken power away from law enforcement and put it in the hands of ordinary citizens. And so when you say you defund the police, you're mad about abolitionists saying defund the police, but this law right here deregulated police. So which one is worse?
That's deep.
We keep playing these psychological games with these lawmakers. But the guns are not getting dumped over in Madison County.
That's right.
And Rankin County.
That's right.
These guns, and all of them aren't stolen guns. Right? There's too many gun deaths. All these guns aren't stolen. You got the gun shows who are not doing verification checks. You got these Iranians and Arabs
who's selling them out of
the back of the stores. You got elected officials that know, but because some of these very individuals that own these gas stations are your campaign funders, you refuse to speak up against them. But you'll talk about the local drug dealer.
That's using the guns that you know are getting out there.
Or that you know selling weed in your neighborhood or buying up a house. So it runs deep. Good. But let me read the data here.
This is good.
The overall, and this is from Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions. 2014 to 2023, Mississippi had the highest gun death rate in the nation. And its overall rate rose 61% from 2014 to 2023. And that was they started measuring gun violence deaths after open carry passed. The gun violence deaths peaked during 2021, COVID. It was still extremely high. Analysis of CDC data shows Mississippi firearm mortality rate peaked around 33.9 per 100,000 in 2021. Then it remained among the highest. 2022 was 29.6 per 100,000. That's 884 deaths. still number one among states. Mississippi itself has a problem. Right. And so while we've allowed lawmakers to play all these petty games with Jackson, trying to take over the city, trying to take our airport, take our water, take our schools, all while Mississippi is falling apart and crumbling. Now, we're talking about the gun deaths, but we're not, and we hadn't even begun to talk about the infrastructure that's in Jackson that's looking like the other parts, the other parts of the state is looking identical to Jackson, and it's not being talked about.
Wow. Look, she's pouring it on, and she come with her facts. Miss Danielle Holmes, everyone. Again, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back, and we will continue the conversation. See you in a moment. Good evening, good evening. This is James Hopkins, and this is Your Words, Your Voice,
where we talk about what matters. From leaders making change to moments that connect us all. Every voice has a story worth telling. Your Words, Your Voice with James Hopkins, where conversations build community.
I'm James Hopkins, I'm the host, and on this podcast we're going to be talking about all types of things. We're going to be talking about church, school, community. We're going to be talking about politics and crime.
Join the conversation. Subscribe now.
Believe.media share our audience on our mini global live stream TV broadcast and over the radio. For more info, visit webelieve.global or call 800-492-5186 option 1.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to the show. I'm James Hopkins, and we have the dynamic, the powerful, the non-tongue holding Miss Danielle Holmes on the show. And she says what she means, and she means what she says. And we've been getting a lesson in here, a history lesson in here, a civic lesson in here, and a social lesson in here. So we're going to get back to the show. Miss Danielle, during the commercial break, I was asking you, why do you think it is? And I know it's just your opinion, or why do you think that open carry was so important, to the people who voted it in? And, just why was it even necessary? Because, again, like you said, what we had was working. If you're a good person, get your permit, they're going to run the Brady Bill on and see,
That's
do
right.
you have anything going on? Hey, if you're good, you're clean, here's your weapon. Why do you think they pushed it so hard to just skip through all of that?
When you want to devastate a community, you pass laws that are easy for that community to devastate itself.
Okay.
And so I no longer need the KKK to come in
Wow.
or take our black men and black women out. We'll let them self-destruct themselves by putting in what we know that they're going to use, because see, we haven't really been properly trained how, as black people, we control our emotions.
Right.
And that's a lineage from slavery up until now. Our emotions and how we fire back off. That's deep within our roots, right? We had to fight all of our lives. All of our lives we've had to fight. And so for some, when they can't throw hands, they're going to shoot.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
And that's just what it is. And so you knew that. Let me just show prime example. When opioids came and devastated the white community,
Right.
what did they do?
Make Correct.
They
So
began to
fixed-
put
put
regulations
laws in to stop it.
and restrict doctors
Right.
from how they prescribed those opioids
Right.
from killing their people.
Right.
Which ended up, yes, every drug that is dominant white people,
Right.
yes, it's going to trickle down to the black community,
Right.
right? So they put regulations on opioids.
Right.
But in the black community, where guns are a problem,
Right.
where access for our youth getting access to these guns are devastating our communities. Yet you don't see them trying to regulate
Right.
or put any restrictions on guns, right? And because we know that easy access to anything, candy. If a baby see candy,
Yeah.
what is that baby gonna do?
They're going to get it.
They're gonna take that candy and test it.
Right.
If a child sees a firearm,
They're gonna
after
pick it
they've
up.
been curious, watching TV, playing GTA and all the Mortal Kombat and all this other stuff,
Right.
they're going to go and
Get
want to
that.
act out
Right.
on what a firearm would do. And so you put restrictions on drugs. You put restrictions on alcohol. You put restrictions on how you drive a car. You even put restrictions on if a mother can discipline her child.
Ooh-wee.
But you won't put
Y'all
restrictions
better tell
on a
somebody
weapon
tune in to this
that
show.
can turn around and kill that same mother
Right. Wow.
or that child.
That child. Or that child may use to kill that mother by
That mother.
accident.
I actually got a call early part of this year. A mother called because her son, well, it was the police called, community, they called as a community organization to intervene to keep the young man from getting incarcerated. But the issue was really bad because his mother had found a gun under his mattress. And she took the gun and wouldn't give it back. He poured kerosene over the mother's apartment and attempted to light the apartment on fire out of anger because he wanted that gun and had dropped out of high school. So my team and we went over to intervene. But this was a young man who was willing to take his mother's life, and his brother lived there as well. But he was determined he wanted that gun back. He left her home with the gun. And some attempted arson charges because the fire department was called, so they had to file charges. But this is what's going on in homes. And then I had an officer. He's an officer. I'm not going to say what kind of officer. But he pulled me to the side. He said, my son was in college. At that time, I had on a Test or Die t-shirt because the coalition was doing a Test or Die campaign where we don't condone drug usage, but we have loved ones and know of individuals who have lost their loved ones to fentanyl overdose. And so we were giving folks fentanyl strips and Narcan. If you're going to take the pills, test it before you put it in your mouth to make sure it isn't laced. That was our mission. Long and short, while dealing with this scenario of this young man, I was pulled to the side, and an officer began to pour out to me that his child had been acting strange and had dropped out of school, came home, doing all kinds of crazy things, and just couldn't get him back on track. And so there was a conversation to be had on me telling the officer things that you need to look for. But pretty much your child is on some form of drugs without telling him that, right?
Right.
And lo and behold, the wife was embarrassed. She didn't want to talk or open up publicly. But just getting a little wisdom on how to deal with these children, because his child too had firearm. So this is not just happening in South Jackson. in West Jackson or
Right.
in Shady Oaks.
Right.
What we're seeing, and even some of these individuals that are pulling the triggers, are coming from more affluent homes.
Right. No,
Some of
that's
these
true.
leaders and police officers, children,
Right.
are pulling the trigger. I know because one officer's child killed my friend's son.
Wow.
And was able to get away with it
No.
because of
absolutely.
cover by JPD.
So this was Jackson.
This is Jackson.
Wow. Wow. That's deep.
So it's a lot going on in this city, a lot that has to be reckoned with. We have to be, have some truths, tell some truth, some hard truth, whether you like me or not.
Right, and I think that's the biggest issue we have. People are just scared to tell the truth.
Yeah, or they
People
don't
are
want to hear the
afraid to hurt
truth
somebody's
because they don't
feelings.
like you because of what someone else said, right? There are people right now be coming at me on social media. You don't even know me.
Right. Oh, I heard a lot of things about you. But you're here.
I'm here.
Right.
And a lot of times people get mad because I'm going to give it to them raw. I
Right.
tell people I'm going to tell you the truth, even if it hurts my feelings.
Right. And even if it hurts your feelings.
And even if it hurts yours.
Because it might save your life.
It's going to save one of our lives or both.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Wow. This is great. Man, I wish I had a 2-hour show. I would definitely love for you to come back again because the information you have. Not just, I thought we were just going to talk about, the work the nonprofits do, but what you're giving us is something that's so much more valuable. It's the knowledge and then just the system itself, which is something that a lot of us, we don't know insides of what goes on in the system, and this knowledge that you're putting out here is definitely something that needs to be shared, and it definitely needs to be heard by as many people. That's right. As we can. So I definitely want to do some community events with you.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna throw out a phrase and you give me 1 or 2 quick sentences to everything I ask you. Okay? You ready? New police chief.
We got to have one. We got to have a new police chief that knows the city, knows the culture, knows how to deal with dysfunctional families, dysfunctional children. You have to understand that policing, you can't police your way out of what's happening in this state with these reckless gun laws. And so we're going to have a police chief that's going to have to be real with the department, with lawmakers, right, and with the administration. This is not a come and hire your friend type of ordeal, but we need someone who's serious. And I believe we have someone within JPD.
Oh, we do.
That could do this work.
We
right?
do.
But then there's a lot of rotten ones in JPD that can't do the
have
work.
those too.
But spending money on going outside when you have folks who have labored and been faithful
in this city.
to this city when they could have gone other places.
Right.
That's an insult, a slap in the face, and this is a clear indication that the takeover of Jackson is here.
It's here. So, do you believe that the chief should have a contract? Because, again, in order to be able to speak up to your administration, a lot of them may be afraid, well, look, if I tell him the truth about how I feel, he may fire me. But if I come in if they're under a contract, they'll be more open to say the things that really need to be said, and not just say they're going to go in and curse them out or anything like that. But sometimes you have to have people that's not going to say yes, 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 yes. And the type of person that you just named can't be a yes man.
At all.
So, do you believe that the chief should have a contract?
Well, it depends on what's in the contract and how will that register with his PERS, right? Or with his benefits, medical benefits.
Right.
How would that be able to legally be a thing? Will he be able to be covered still under city benefits?
Right.
With a contract?
Right.
So, it's kind of hard to say.
Right.
I would still want him because I'm a workers advocate.
Right.
I believe in workers' rights.
Right.
I believe that they should be fully insured by their employer and paid a livable wage. And so if a lot of those things could be put into that contract, then by all means. So no police chief shouldn't be beholden to a mayor or any administration who's not an expert.
Telling them how to do the job.
That's right.
Okay, I like that. Okay, next thing, Jackson Zoo. What comes to mind?
Jackson Zoo. Jackson Zoo can actually be revitalized.
Okay.
Livingston Park, many people, all they see is Jackson Zoo. Livingston Park, which sits adjacent right there when you go in, when you park at the Jackson Zoo, you see all that big open green field.
Right.
Beautiful park, but nobody ever pays attention to
This
it.
is at the corner now, right?
No. When you go into the zoo and you look to your left.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All of that pretty greenery over there.
Okay.
That could be family events over there. I know they were talking about putting a pickleball court there.
Right. They were talking about a disc golf.
Disc golf. What the Jackson Zoo needs, yes, some repairs, but aesthetics more so than anything. If the Jackson Zoo can be beautified, because folks that have invested in West Jackson, they want something in West Jackson.
Right.
They deserve to have something of value in their part of town. So why would you uproot the Jackson Zoo?
Right.
And that's one thing that I could agree with Hartley on when I agree with him on 99 other things.
Right.
I could agree with him on keeping the Jackson Zoo there, revitalizing it. When you move the Jackson Zoo to the LaFleur State Park, which I believe is a state park, LaFleur Bluff.
Yeah, they're going to take it.
They're going to take it.
They're going to take it. I've already said that.
So
if you move that
we've
there,
been so conditioned
they are going
to be so ready to give everything away. Everything away. They can fix the zoo. You can revitalize that zoo. And that could be a beautiful place. It was just years ago when the zoo was up and we would love Zoo Blues.
Right.
And Capitol Street would be packed. That was the thing.
So you believe in well, I'm going to say I believe. I believe that the problem we've been having with it, of course, it needs to be fixed up and kind of renovated. But I believe there should be more events to bring in the funding.
Absolutely.
We can't just rely on the people, the citizens to just come in every day or every weekend, and pack the zoo out. We should have events coming in that's going to fund the zoo, for us. And I think that's one way, in my opinion. And of course, I ran for office. I was going to make that amphitheater a big deal, and we were going to have the same way they're doing it. Why everybody have to go to Brandon? Why we can't just do it here? So I was gonna really invest in the amphitheater there, and we were gonna book shows every single weekend, and we were gonna bring money into that zoo, and that's how I was gonna build it up. But definitely, my mind has changed. You don't have to get rid of the zoo. At first, I was like, man, we're gonna have to get rid of this zoo. We need to move it out south somewhere. Can't move to LaFleur's Bluff. But if you take advantage of what's there and then put the resources, and if the state can put the money into it at LaFleur's Bluff, they can put it into it in Jackson. You can put it in Jackson.
They
so
have
it's
failed
just a matter
of
taking everything from Jackson and say, okay, well, give me this, and then I'll put the money into it. Same way I hear about the airport all the time. Oh, the state's ready to put $200 million into it if they get this little partnership deal. Well, if you got $200 million to put into it, go ahead and put into it anyway. It's still a representation of Mississippi.
It's still a representation, but because it's black controlled,
right,
black led, predominantly black owned, because the majority of us in this city
right,
are black residents.
Right.
It is hurting them.
Right.
Anything that will move a black race forward, you have extremists at the state capitol and across this state that hates to see black progress, that are enemies of black progress, and so they're coming. And I warn even our black restaurant owners downtown, if you don't own your building, brace yourself, because they're coming for your building,
right,
they're coming for your restaurant. Black business owners have taken a big chunk from white business owners. Right. And I'm not trying to be divisive here, but I'm just speaking facts, because I've seen white restaurant owners come after us indirectly.
Right.
And basically told us what they thought about us as a black race, but you use the mayor to really pass, the former mayor, to say it to to push it off on, but that's how you feel about black folks in general.
Right. Okay. All right, I'm going to throw one more at you, and I know you're limited to what you can say, and then you can just explain to everyone why you're limited to what you can say.
Absolutely.
Last one I'm going to throw at you, Jackson Water.
So I want to first say that I am, along Mississippi Poor People's Campaign and myself, I am an intervener plaintiff in the Jackson Water lawsuit. Mississippi Poor People's Campaign and People's Advocacy Institute, we felt that it was necessary that community had a say and knew what was actually happening with our water.
That's right.
We were fought. We weren't easily let in and given a seat at the table. We had to fight to get there. But what I will say is that we have a community statement. And what in our community statement, it basically says that Jackson residents should have a seat at the table. We should be in the decision-making process.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? We should know, and there should be transparency as it relates to what's happening with our water, the resources, right, where our water is going. And so we have a legal team, and we are part of that lawsuit. So there's a confidentiality
and I understand.
Agreement there. So I could say some things I can answer, and then there's some things I just won't be able to answer. But
so let's do it like
this. We joined it for the sake of the community. Our fight is for the community. We're fighting against this rate hike. We're fighting because we shouldn't still have brown water. And we're fighting also because we believe that residents should not be forced to pay these extreme, enormous water bills that aren't theirs.
Right. I agree with you. So the rate hikes it's definitely ridiculous. And I think this will be, the second or third rate hike. But
Second.
I don't think they're considering the economic status of the people that live in Jackson when they're doing this rate hike. And I always thought, you pay for commercials and things like that. I see all these Jackson Water commercials. I don't know what they're paying for them, but that's money that doesn't have to be spent. We know who Jackson Water is. Why waste our money on a commercial? When, again, we have all these pipes need to be fixed. If you got money just throw away on a commercial, go ahead and give the people back some of these funds. Do rebates or whatever you need to do to help get these bills paid. I want you to rate them. Give them on a grading scale of 50 to 100. Give them a grading scale. Give them a grade, Jackson Water. Anybody out there watching, give them a grade, 50 to 100.
I'm going to refrain from that because I don't want to be caught by the judge as saying anything derogative.
Okay, all right. Well, she can't do it. I'm going to do it. At first, I felt like Jackson Water was doing a great job as far as repairs and things of that nature. But as time progressed, I understand this because they did have $1 billion to do it with. But that money has gotten lower and lower and lower and lower. And now I don't see anything going on with Jackson Water except for them fighting to raise the bills. I've gone to meetings with Mr. Hennepin, and his attitude about everything is, you can say what you want to say, but I still call the shots. And because of that, I'm going to give him I'll give him a D. I'll give him a D plus because of the work that they've already done. And I'm going to leave that at that.
I will say that, there's a financial problem.
Right.
Now, the money is real low.
Oh, I know.
But I also will say that for years, Jackson had an antiquated water billing system and water meters, right? And so where in other metropolitan cities, where their water bills were $100 back in the 90s, we were still paying $20 and $30 every 3 months. Right, and that was because Jackson never updated its water system, billing system, meters. A lot of things in the city are still antiquated. And you've seen, different administrations try to bring about change, and residents push back, ask questions. Somebody's stealing. Oh, they done stole the money. No, it's just change. And sometimes change is uncomfortable. So what I will say is that for decades, residents were underbilled for their water.
Yeah.
Right. Although I believe water should be free.
Yeah, it should.
But the way that it was being billed, the years that it was being ran as an antiquated system.
Right.
And
it
then
put us behind on
the Siemens deal should have brought us up to where we should have been with our water billing system.
Right.
However, when individuals took on that contract and put in commercial meters for residential meters and put in residential meters and commercial properties, it messed up the billing system.
Right.
And I think that those individuals that were given those contracts should have probably been properly vetted.
Right.
Because something went wrong with the individual who actually installed those meters and caused this chaos. And we don't talk enough about that.
Right.
I ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus.
Listen, we already know. Again, I wish we had more time to talk. So we're about to get out of here. I definitely enjoyed you being here. Any last comments or
shout out to my coalition partners. Many people want to know who is Mississippi Impact Coalition. Mississippi Impact Coalition is a coalition of organizations, and I'll name 4 of us: Mississippi Poor People's Campaign, People's Advocacy Institute, One Voice, and Forward.us, along with a host of other partners.
All right. That's it?
That's it.
All right. And I just want to shout out to my guy Zion, who's not here today. It's a different show without you, Zion. I hope you're watching. If not, I'm sure you'll watch it later. A shout out to Deja, to Bully, to my producer, the baddest producer on the planet, Miss Amanda Jones. If you see her, give her a hug because she deserves it. Next week, we will see you all at the same time. One more. Mr. Socrates Garrett for providing this space. And he's been a pillar to the community, Mr. Socrates Garrett. I need to have you back on the show for a full hour if you're out there listening. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Until then, I am James Hopkins signing off with your words, your voice. Hello, 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 hello.